In today's lesson, we're going to have a look at how to create the first layer for a painting like this. This painting has 3 layers to it. There's a sky layer of blended color, there's a sponged layer for the clouds, and then there's a black layer silhouette. We're going to be just tackling the blending colors step today. To see a couple of other quick examples of how this works with different silhouettes and different colors used, another one here. Okay, so our goal today is to get the blended color just for the sky in the background. Supplies we're going to be using today, we're going to be taking 3 colors out of a palette. Okay, I tend to always use white as one of my colors, and then I try to think about how the colors are going to blend well, so I like to take primary colors as well. We're also going to be using a little bit of cardboard. The cardboard is just a mere backing for the painting to go onto like that, and we are going to tape it down onto the cardboard. So the result is going to be something like this. The last thing we're going to need is a really large brush. You don't want to take a small brush for any of the work that we're going to do today. So let's have a look at the taping process. The taping process is relatively simple. We tape this down so that the paper doesn't move while we're brushing onto the paper here. You pull the tape out to a length that is long enough to go along the entire edge of the paper here. We tear that off. I match up the tape towards the edge of the paper, and then I carefully scoot it on to make sure that the tape is even and parallel with the side of the paper, and then I just run my finger along that. And we're going to do that to all 4 sides of this paper. Once it's been taped down, that's when we get into the blending colors. So we tear it off so that the length is a little bit longer than the side of the paper. I'm going to try to make this the same thickness here as is here, and I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so I have the entire piece taped off and I'm ready to get painting. So here's the idea. When you're dealing with a sky, you always want to make sure that the blend goes horizontally to the ground. Okay, so the lines always go horizontal compared to where the ground is. So what that means for us when we're doing our brush strokes, you want to think about which way you want the ground to be. If the ground is going to be down here, I'm going to be brushing across in this way. If I want the painting like this with the ground here, I'm going to brush across it in this way. So the brush strokes are always intended to be horizontal. Okay, so I'm going to set up my ground so that the ground is here. When I begin to paint, in my palette I've got red and I've got yellow and I've got white. You always want to start with your lightest color, and I'm going to start with the white right here in the middle of the painting itself. So I'm going to grab up a healthy amount of the white paint, and I'm going to begin to paint across. Okay, horizontal brush strokes, just putting the white down. Now, white on white paper doesn't tend to show up very well, but it's going to help these other colors blend in and mix very well. I start the white in the middle, and I start to bring it out almost all the way to the edge. Do the same thing heading down this way. Bring it out almost all the way to the edge. So when we're doing this color blend, you always want to start with your lightest color first. And the next move is going to be to take the next lightest color. And in my example here, my next lightest color is yellow. I'm going to grab up a healthy amount of yellow. I'm going to start on one end of the paper. Again, keeping my brush strokes horizontal as I go. Make it a solid yellow on the end, and then it's going to start to mix in with the white. And as it mixes in, you can see that it starts to get this nice light yellow that's happening, all with these horizontal brush strokes. Now we're going to go lightly, lightly, lightly and just blend it out so that you have that nice soft transition from the yellow into the white that we started with. Now I'm going to tip this around and I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to start with the red now. The red comes all the way down on the other end of the paper. So we get just that nice red, and then I'm going to start to blend and mix it in. There it's starting to get into the white, so you can see the pinks are starting to be made. Okay, with the horizontal brush strokes again, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now nice and lightly with the brush as we go. And just let it blend all the way out. And there we've got it. We got the white that we started with in the middle, the yellow from the bottom on up, and then the red from the bottom on down. Here's one more quick example of it. I'm going to put the ground down here this time, and I've changed the colors that I have. I've got white and blue and violet. We're going to start the same way. We always start with the lightest color. It's going to start in the middle. So I'm going to grab up a healthy amount of the white. Start with the white right here in the middle. Again, with the horizontal brush strokes. You want the brush strokes to go horizontal to wherever your ground is going to be. And you're going to bring the white almost all the way to the bottom and almost all the way to the top. White on white paper we can't see very well, but I'll hold it up and display it a little bit so you can see it better. There we go. Brush strokes going across the paper like this, almost all the way to the bottom, almost all the way to the top. Then we move in with the next lightest color, and in this example my next lightest color is blue. We dunk down in, get a healthy amount of blue on the brush. I'm going to start here at the bottom of the paper so that we get a nice solid blue down at the bottom. Brushing across horizontally and begin to bring it up. And as we get into the white here, you can see that it's starting to blend to make a nice like baby blue. And we bring that brush a little bit back and forth, always with these horizontal brush strokes. And then we go a little bit softer with the brush to get the blend to happen. So I'm going to turn this around and we're going to come back with the violet now. The violet's going to start down now. What I have is the bottom here. Violet goes across and then it starts to get into the white again to make a nice pastel violet in there. Brush strokes go across horizontally as you go. Soften it up as you get towards the middle. And there we have it. So we've got our skies blended out. Again, brush strokes going horizontally to wherever you want the ground. So if the ground is going to be this way, the brush strokes go horizontally. If you want the ground to be this way, you put the brush strokes horizontally that way. This first layer is done. Once it's dry, we can move on and begin the clouds.